reason that I have picked that niche is because so much therapy is remunerated by managed care panels in the state of California for what's called behavior modification, cognitive behavior therapy, CogB, CBT, which I don't think taking responsibility and just talking about what happened and taking a walk in nature is going to solve deep-rooted loss and grief issues. So that's it in a nutshell.
Can you please explain what the grief recovery method is?
Yes, it is Sonia, a step-by-step method to finish an unfinished loss, to rediscover joy and happiness and more energy and more presence in the present moment. Now, we hear that all the time about got to be in the present moment. Don't live in the past, don't live in the future. You never hear how to do it. I think we all agree with that. How do you do it? I've never seen anything else work as effectively to finish what was in order to live with what is.
You're so good. I'm so glad I met you.
Oh, sweetie.
Really, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I quote you just in dealing with my friends, and I don't even try with family because they ain't never going to get it. But
Nope.
for me, I had a lot of therapy and a lot of that sort of knowledge under my belt before I came to you.
Yeah.
And I wondered if it's most effective that way, or if I had no clue. I've never plopped myself in a therapist's chair. I've never read any self-help books, never done any of that other stuff that I've done.
That'd be better.
Really? Okay.
Because when I was trained, they really picked me to be one of their star guys. Why? Because I didn't have any training on anything.
Oh.
I'd never been to therapy, never had any training. I got the master's later. And they're like, you're perfect for grief recovery. We don't want these therapists coming in. It's so hard to unlearn them.
Thanks.
Clients are a little that way too.
Yeah, I bet.
But listen, I'll give you an answer on that if you want to record it.
I'm recording this whole thing.
Oh. I'm sorry. I would have given you a better soundbite.
No, and I think, no. Oh, well, give me a better one if you got a better one.
Okay. Well, you're asking about, is this the last house on the block? That was your experience. I remember you saying that clearly, Sonia, like it was yesterday. Two things. Number one, some people think, is it too early to do my grief and loss work? Do I need to go and try other modalities and then wind up in grief recovery last? My usual answer to that is, well, if you fell down and broke your arm, and God forbid there's blood coming out and it's broken, is it too soon to go to the ER? No. So in the medical model, it's not too soon to work on a broken heart. If you get the idea that behavior modification is not going to solve a broken heart, things that want to be different in here, things that are wrapped around resentment that need to be coughed up like a cat, like a fur ball, that kind of stuff, better thinking, and joining a yoga class, again, not to minimize those things, but they just are not powerful enough to address the needs of the heart, which is wanting yesterday to be different or better or more.
You don't have to take your course to heal from a death or that sort of loss. It can be.
Good point. Good point. I don't even like the word grief. I like the word loss because it's loss of a loved one, death, absolutely, but it's loss of a relationship. It's breakup, it's divorce, it's moving, it's menopause, it's retirement, it's loss of trust, which seems to run through every loss to some degree. Loss of safety, loss of finances, moving, death of a pet, purest example of unconditional love in the world. And there's so many types of losses. In fact, they've done studies on this, 42 different types of losses. And death is not in the preponderance of those at all. So loss, I think, is better than grief.
Yeah. And for me, it was loss of a relationship that was hoped for but never realized.
Well said. Loss of hopes, dreams, and expectations.
Oh, yes.
What might have been. This is not what I signed up for. This is not the way life is supposed to turn out.
Right.
So then we start to get into, what if I never meet someone as wonderful as he was? What if I never meet someone as beautiful as she was? What if I wind up alone? And a lot of fear is generated. And from that fear, we have anxiety. We call it depression, and we call it anxiety, unresolved loss. Okay. Unfinished business in a relationship with someone living or not living is my view on what's really going on. Not just slapping a label of anxiety and depression on it, then go see someone for a pill. And then life gets pretty gray and flat.
Right, right.
It was an alternative.
That sort of brings me to my Father's Day theme. I mean, we can experience a loss of a relationship with a father for many reasons. He could be an addict and not emotionally or physically there. He could be incarcerated, be
Right.
many things. So, what
Many
are
things.
some of those coping skills that you see that we do that aren't helpful at all? I know when I came to see you, I thought that I had resolved my lack of father thing by just going, it is what it is. And I
Yeah.
thought, I pulled on my big girl panties, and it is what it is, whatever.
Right.
So, what are some of those other things that you see in people that they do that they may not? They think that they've got this handled. I had a woman friend recently who goes, "Well, that's just the way I am, and it's all over with, and that's it is what it is."
Oh,
It's it's
and
heartbreaking.
it's heartbreaking. Well said. And then you see a little kitty walk by the TV screen at Christmas time, and you start to tear up, and you feel those feelings right here, and we stuff them back down.
Yeah,
Or someone cuts us off on the freeway, we want to rip their throats out. It's like, where is that coming from? Reactions become disproportionate. What that's telling you is there's a lot of stuff that we'd like to push away, we'd like to stuff down, we'd like to numb ourselves, we'd like to open the freezer and start a relationship with Haagen-Dazs, and hopefully that's going to solve our problem. Drug, sex, and alcohol, Netflix, all these things. Meanwhile, we have this heart that I keep going back to. That's like, somebody listen to me.
right,
We don't know how to navigate our emotional landscape at all.
right. Now
We're
with
taught to acquire things. If I can just acquire things in life and get my head around what happened and figure it out and get my questions answered, then I'll feel better. But you
right,
can't use your heart with your head.
right,
Think yourself into feeling better.
right.
No.
And with men, some of the things that you're talking about, symptomatic of men, the anger maybe, or stuffing down crying because men aren't supposed to cry. They're not supposed to show their emotions. They're not supposed to even be in touch with their heart. Is it
Yeah,
harder? Do you see less numbers of men than women coming in for
absolutely.
therapy? And how do they differ in how they handle how receptive they are and how they handle your therapy?
I would say in 25 years, almost 26 years of doing this, the the person I helped, I don't like the word client, but the person I helped about 15 years ago, go from absolute minus 60 to plus 60, and I use 60 because it's like he was a Harley rider, all
Okay.
fatted up, long hair, dude, and I have never seen anyone go from that level of shutdown to that level of just freedom. Never seen it before or since with a man or a woman.
Wow.
So I don't know if it has to be gender specific, although right, you're right, about 20% of my clients are men and 80% are women. And
And of those
often,
20, I bet they're being dragged in by their women.
that's right.
Okay, you have a wonderful relationship with your daughter. Is it daughters? I think it's daughters.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I
And
did.
did you get that from your father? How did you learn that skill?
No, I did not. I just don't have a lot of empathy for people who say, well, I don't know how to really do this or do that in life because I wasn't taught to do that. I don't
Oh,
have a lot of empathy for that. And so I asked them if they're a plumber. Were you born learning how to fix pipes and things? No. What'd you do? I went to school. Oh, so you learned how to be a plumber? Yeah. Why don't you learn how to be a dad?
ooh,
Learn how to be a husband. There are things you can do to educate ourselves. I don't like people who hide behind the, well, you got to understand, my dad, and he didn't teach me anything, or I didn't have a dad, or he was absent, he worked all the time, and uh, well, go figure it out. So that's just what I did.
right. I just remembered something else you used to say, and I still, you know what? I got it one day, and I lost it again. But you said the person who I was working on at the time. You said, "What if you discovered that they were perfect, just the way they are?" And I'm like, they're not. And they didn't do the best they could. I still have trouble with that thing too, as they did the best they could. I'm like, that can't possibly be to be such a horrible parent. How could that be the best you could do? And how could I see that as perfect?
Well, here's the answer if you can read between the lines.
Okay.
Very abusive, neglectful father. Here's what I'm telling you straight up. My dad is perfectly wonderful the way he is. We have the best relationship in the world now, and guess who changed? Me or him?
You.
That's the answer.
Hmm.
The only way out is to accept people for how they are. The worst people in the world are perfectly wonderful the way they are. And that's really a challenge for people coming into this work.
It's really a challenge, but I thought that I lost it, but now that you said that, I do have that, because some of the people who are coming in my life right now, not only do can I accept them for who they are, but I can also accept if I want to be a part of that that icky vortexy world of theirs and get
Yeah.
sucked down into it without feeling guilty or angry or any of that stuff. So
Well
I guess I
said.
am getting it.
Well said. And you find yourself going out of the moment and getting your buttons pushed. It's like, oh, I have tools and skills now from that little grief recovery method to get back into
Hmm.
the moment where happiness is. There's no happiness in stuck in regret.
Yeah,
There's no happiness in the future and loss of hope streams and expectations, like you were saying.
yeah,
It's only in the moment. What if I need a way? I need a tool to leverage myself and crowbar myself out of those areas when my buttons get pushed by this person or that. You realize, whoa, let me stop here.
right,
Okay, I got a little bit of communications I need to make. I have a few more communications I need to make. That sounds better.
right.
To get back, because we have tools to get back. If Can I say something about this?
No, yes, of course you can. And stop moving because your camera's moving all over the place when you move. Is it on your lap?
It is.
So every time you
So-
move, it's going nuts, but it's okay.
I like that. I'll be more mindful.
Yes. You're so animated, though. That's one of the reasons that I really, really liked you in your course. So you're just so fun.
Yeah,
You're
but
so
when
much
this
fun.
moves all around, it's going to look so fucked up. Shit. I'll do better.
Now, one of the things that I love about grief recovery is that and I don't know if it's just yours or if it's all of them, but ours was a 12-week course. It's not like a therapist is going to take your money for the rest of your life.
Right.
12 weeks, boom, you're done. I'm probably more in touch with my guy's side, and I was very skeptical of this. It probably took me to week 9 or 10
Yeah.
where I finally, the light bulb went off on my above my head, and I went, I see where you're going with this. This is pretty cool. I mean, I was totally impressed, because up until then I'm going, where is this getting us? And then I'm going through all these other emotions,
Yep.
but I didn't see how it was related to the final culmination of what we did. And
Yeah.
boy, was that interesting. It must be great to practice a form of therapy that's so effective.
It is. It is to see the rewarding thing. You spark something there. A lot of people come in with, I say I've never met someone who had a perfectly good life and then someone dies or someone leaves. Not yet.
Right.
Instead, it's from the earliest ages. Loss on top of loss on top of loss on top of loss on top of, and the proverbial straw breaks the camel's back. These losses are connected, okay?
Right.
And a lot of them start, the table was set, the table was set, the foundation was laid. The genesis is from early childhood.
Uh-huh.
And it's all kind of the way we didn't cope then is the way we didn't or don't cope now. And things don't change much. So then this work is really cool, because around 4 or 5, you sort out which loss I'm going to get the most bang for my buck in the next 10 or 12 weeks. I do one-on-ones for 10 weeks.
Right.
And sometimes that you had some other thoughts and feelings you said going on. You just said there are some other losses that get involved there, and so we have to keep them separate. We'll get to that loss, but right now we're working on this one.
Right. I got a
One
whole
by
list.
one.
And I started off on the one that I thought I could never get over. And you said that's the one to do.
That's the one to do.
It was an interesting journey. I hunted around for a grief recovery therapist on the internet. I read everyone's profiles. I was drawn to yours, and I'm very happy that I did. What should people look for? Additionally, on top of everything you do, you're energetic, you're knowledgeable, you're compassionate, all that stuff. But you're a prayer warrior. And I don't know that you would consider yourself that, because one day I said that to you and you kind of blushed or whatever. But one of the highlights of my sessions with you was your prayer at the end. And is this a Christian-based therapy, or is that something you bring to the table?
It's something I bring to the table. Now, if there are non-believers there, I don't start talking about Jesus this
No,
and Jesus
right.
that. Okay, so I'm pretty sensitive to what,
yes.
Even if people don't believe, most people believe Jesus was a good teacher, if not God himself. So there's no problem with that.
Right.
So I'll bring in different spiritual things and to try to build a bridge wherever we can. I'm not trying to convert anybody or even get anybody to Jesus.
Right.
It's just part of who I am.
And our sessions were held at church, so you probably, and I remember you asking if everybody was, this was good for everybody, and
Oh, okay.
by far it was great with everybody.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So just so you know that. And so what should people look for in finding a grief recovery therapist?
You said knowledgeable, and I'm always going to push back on that. I don't think people care what you know until they know that you care. So
Mm,
I have people say, I'm going to have my sister, mother, brother, kid talk to you, call and talk to you. It's like, just have them sit down with me for 30, 40 minutes, no charge, no pressure, no commitment, and we'll just be two human beings, eye to eye, heart to heart. And at the end of that time, they'll be really clear. This is for me or it's not.
right.
And you can be the judge and decide for yourself. Do I feel like the guy gets me and there are some resonating things there, or is he just trying to like speak at me and be didactic?
Right.
Because me just talking to someone's not going to get them better.
Right.
And me sitting back and say, how does it make you feel? Well, it's not going to help either. It makes you feel like crap. What are we going to do about it?
Right.
So probably get 9 out of 10 people who come to me, go ahead and enroll. But it's not an agenda. I just try to bring what I bring, and sometimes it doesn't fit, but it's rare.
Yeah, I could see that, and I could.
For a lot of people, this is the start of a great journey for them. For many people, they may have been to a lot of therapists, and maybe this is 911. This is the last stop. If this doesn't work, and this is how life is played, I don't want to play anymore. I mean, I like people like that because I know that I can help them. But that starts them on the path, and they start getting into other things like mindfulness, or they start going to workshops, or in AA starts to work, and these different things. When you get the weight on your neck off, so I like how it can launch people into get their sail that's been up and down on the waves, and then I don't know if my hands are going to mess this up here, but it gets up and it dries off on the shore, on the sea. I mean, and they tack toward that distant shore to wherever they need to go. So I don't help people get to that distant shore. That's not my area, but I'll make sure that your sail is dry and you're ready to go.
Oh, that's good. Thank you again for coming on, and I'm
You
going
bet.
to edit this into 2, and I'll let you know where you can see it when.
How nice. Thank you. It's a privilege for me.
Thanks. All right.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
You bet.